Hello, welcome to my garden. So October is here, my spring bulbs have arrived, so I'm going to start potting them all up. Some are going out in my garden, but today I'm going to be putting them into this lovely terracotta pot, and I'm going to be doing layers of bulbs, otherwise known as lasagne planting. I'm going to be doing 3 different bulbs, so it can stagger the effect across 3 or 4 months, so you get a really lovely display throughout early to late spring. So I'm using this terracotta pot. It's about 30 centimetres diameter, and whatever pot you're going to be using, you want to make sure that it's got a good drainage hole in the base to allow all water to drain away. If you have any old bits of terracotta pot, you can always pop them over the hole just to stop the compost falling out. If you've got some more, add them in because they're really good for drainage. Whatever kind of compost you're using for your pots, I'm using just a multi-purpose compost. You want to make sure that the drainage is really good for bulbs. So you can add a layer of even more broken up bits of terracotta if you have them hanging around. Otherwise you can use these sort of clay pebbles, which are really good, the little round stones, and I'm going to put them all along the base of this pot. Adds a really good layer of drainage on the base. What I'm also doing that is really good for drainage is adding a product called perlite into my compost, which really helps hold on to the water so that the compost doesn't get too soggy. But any of those things is good. You don't have to do them all, but I'm going to do them all. So you want to add a good layer of compost to the base of your pot. So bulbs like to be planted about 3 times their depth in a pot. So for a tulip, you've got this depth, that's 1, 2, 3. But for, of course, the next one along, which is going to be a little Narcissus daffodil, that's smaller than the tulip, but not a lot different. But then on the top layer, it's going to be this little dinky iris. So that only needs 1, 2, 3 as depth for planting it. You always want to plant your bulbs pointy end at the top and flatter end at the base. You can often see a little area where the roots will appear. And then the idea with lasagne planting is that you want to plant the biggest and the latest flowering bulbs at the base of your pot, and then the smallest and the earliest flowering bulbs at the top of your pot. So for the base layer, I'm going to be planting this absolutely beautiful tulip called Angelique. It's a lovely double flowered tulip, so it resembles a peony even. It has a nice gorgeous blush pink and white flowers, and it's scented, and it lasts really well in the ground as well as a cut flower, so I'm so excited to see this one next spring. So that's going to go in the base. Now you don't need to plant bulbs too far apart in a pot. When they're in the ground, you want to allow about 2 spaces worth of a bulb in the ground to allow them space to develop over the years. But in a pot, you want more impact, so you can cram them closer. You just don't want them actually touching, so you can plant them that far apart. So let's see how many I can fit in here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you want to plant them in a ring around the edge, and then another ring in the middle, and then one in the middle for luck. So the Angelique tulip will be for late April, May time. And you want to just cover it up with another good layer of compost. And then the next one in our layer is going to be a little sweet daffodil called Tete. It's very petite, delicate, bright yellow, cheerful flowers that will come out in March, and they're quite small, so you can fit a good amount in a layer again. Again, pointy end upwards, and you just pop them again all the way around the pot, allowing a small gap between each one. It's such a happy sight in the spring, these particular daffodils. And being March, they're one of the really early flowers you're going to get to see after your long winter. And it's always fun having these to look forward to as well. I love all the months before when you're planning which bulbs you're going to do for springtime, and then all the bulb planting now in autumn, and it's a lot to enjoy and look forward to with gardening, isn't there? So, and one in the middle for luck again. So that's our layer of daffodils. Now you don't need to worry about the top bulbs blocking the bulbs underneath. The amazing thing about bulbs is that they just find their own way, so you can really pack them in the layers. Incredible. And you also don't need to add any extra fertiliser at all, because everything they need is in one of these little bulbs. Absolutely incredible. Never ceases to amaze me. So you want to add another layer of compost on top of your little daffodils, or whatever bulb you're choosing, of course. It's the fun thing, you can choose whichever bulbs you like just to spread the flowering across the months in the springtime. So there we go. And then next we've got the last layer, which will be flowering in February and maybe even into March, are these sweet little irises. This one is Iris Reticulata, and it's a mixture of colours, so there's going to be blues and violets, really pretty. They're like little jewels that appear on, like, when you're just not quite even into spring. They really brighten up a day. And with them being so tiny, you can plant a lot of them, so you're going to get a really lovely impact. Again, pointy end up, flat rooty end into the soil, and we're going to be able to pack a lot into the top of this pot. So that's the final layer of bulbs gone in, and you just want to fill them up with compost up to the top of the pot. I'll then give it a good drink. It doesn't need to be completely saturated, but just a good drink to get it started. And then keep it outside in a sheltered position, so where it doesn't get too much rain and too much severe frost. You can always put a layer of horticultural grit on the top, or those clay pebbles if you fancy, for a little bit of extra drainage and they look nice. And then come springtime you'll start seeing the new shoots appearing, and then the flowers from March right through to May with this particular set that I've chosen. So I'm off to plant some more bulbs, but I wish you happy bulb planting, and I'll see you in my garden again soon. Bye!